Speed?
Very good. I'm Carey Goin, Careygoin.
Okay, so what is your job title exactly?
My main job is I'm a technical producer for the NFL Network and CBS Sports.
Wow. Okay, so you work for CBS Sports and NFL?
Yes.
Okay. Is this job the job you imagine yourself having?
No.
Really?
No, I started out in radio. I thought I would spend my career in radio, but the radio industry was not as strong as it used to be back in the 60s and 70s, and I met a Catholic nun who asked me to help her start a TV network.
Wow.
And we started a TV network, and I got into television. So no, I did not prepare to go on the television.
Wow, that's a pretty cool story. Is this job your ultimate goal, or do you have plans to move on or have a different job eventually?
No, being a technical producer at the network level has been a dream job. This is definitely what I love doing, and this is probably what I'll be doing the next 10 years until I retire.
Have the recent changes in the business affected your job? Like with radio, you said that you moved on from that to television, but is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's more regional sports networks, more news television outlets than there were when I first got started. I'm so old, back when I started there were only like 3 channels. There was like ABC, NBC, CBS, and now there's hundreds of channels. And now with the internet, there are thousands of channels. So it's really, in a way, an opportune time for people to get in this industry. There's so many more outlets than there were when I got started. So, and I think television is slowly dying, and it's turning into all internet. It'll be video on demand based. It'll be, just internet based. Whereas before it was just kind of broadcasting. So that shouldn't give anybody any concerns. I think the window's just opening more and more and more for people to get in the industry.
What is your favorite part about your job?
It's that I get to meet somebody different every single day, meet different people. I've met popes, I've met presidents, I've met movie stars, TV stars. I've met a man in the African bush. I mean, I've got to meet lots of different types of people, and I get to travel the world. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey and great job choice. I'm glad I picked this industry.
Yeah. What is the most challenging part of your job?
The most challenging part is stress. It's very stressful at the network level. Like a Super Bowl where a 30-second commercial costs $2 million. You have to make sure everything is right. It has to be perfect. And so it's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of hours. But you also get paid very well at the high-end level. So, with more responsibility comes better pay. So.
Is that your favorite type of job? Like one that's like high pressure but
Yeah,
still has a high reward?
It is. Actually, the higher the pressure or the higher the broadcast, usually it's the lower pressure because you have the best equipment, you have the best staff, and everybody's very professional, and everybody knows their assignments and does their jobs. Even though there's more money on the line, it's actually a lot less stressful than doing like regional sports or local TV newscasts where one person has to produce, edit, write the copy, and do everything. That's a lot of pressure. Whereas at the network level, you just have a copywriter, you have an editor, you have a director, you have a technical director. And that actually kind of makes it a little bit easier, believe it or not, the higher you go up the chain. But you have to pay your dues to get there.
Do you have a favorite job that you've worked on?
Favorite job that I worked on? I love music. I love directing music concerts. The music industry has kind of like really gone downhill the last 10 years. Thanks to iTunes. iTunes has about killed the industry. So back in the 90s and the 2000s, I did a lot of concerts for MTV and VH1, and I love doing music concerts. But I haven't done much lately. People just don't spend the money to do concert videos like they used to do. So I would say my favorite shoots of all time have been music events like Bonnaroo. It's a big music festival in Tennessee. I love directing that. I've worked on that show for 10 years. The New Orleans Jazz Festival, we shoot that. We used to be on VH1, but now it's on internet. I've shot just about everybody as anybody as far as an artist, concert-wise, and I just love shooting music.
Well, that's cool. Is there something that surprised you about this about this industry, or did you think that you knew everything when you got in?
I think the surprise has been that a kid, a redneck kid from the middle of Alabama, I mean, I literally was out in the middle of nowhere, has been able to get to a network level at the top of the industry. So I think what surprised me is anybody can get there if they have the will, the desire, the passion for it, and they work hard. And of course, networking is so important. And my advice has always been to college students is try to do an internship at a major outlet like CNN, like ESPN, one of the big places, because you're going to meet people, you're going to network with people, you're going to see how things are done on the high end. Whereas if you internship at a small TV station or a local radio station,
Mm-hmm.
you get a lot of stress, a lot of work, and you don't really meet and mingle with a lot of people. You like 3 or 4 people. But you go to a network, you're going to meet hundreds of people. And what happened with me is I was able to get into the network level while I was in college. And because of that, down the road, as time progressed, those people came back into my life. And they would go, "Oh, Carrie, yeah, I remember you from, over here at this place," and that helped me get advanced.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a lot of who you know, not what you know. I mean,
Connections.
what you know is important, but it's a lot of networking to advance in this industry.
How did you decide that you wanted to be in this field?
My sister dated a disc jockey, a radio disc jockey. His name is Rick Dees. He's a very famous disc jockey in Los Angeles now. He and Ryan Seacrest are always fighting for the top morning radio position in LA.
Oh.
And so I think he was trying to win brownie points with my sister, and he would bring me up to the radio station and show me him working, and I was fascinated by all the knobs and the whole thing. So he started letting me do characterizations on his radio program, doing characters, and I loved it. And so I thought I would be in, like I said, in radio, but then I had a shift there and got into television. So yeah, this is what I always wanted to do.
How old were you when he showed you all that?
I was 12 years old,
Oh, wow.
and he put me on the air at 13.
Oh, cool.
So, and I started working part-time in radio at 16. Started working weekends and overnight shifts. I'd start at the bottom. And then I started becoming the nightly disc jockey of a station in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was during that time I started going to the University of Alabama, and I met a brick mason who was building a car garage, who told me about this Catholic nun who wanted to build this TV network. And he knew that I was in radio and I knew how to build control rooms, and he said, "Why don't you come help us?" And at first I laughed because I thought this was crazy. But that ended up being the real deal, and it became the world's largest television network. It's in every city in the world now. There's 3,500 employees, and she bought the best equipment in the world, and I was there at that right time to learn how to operate all this real high-end equipment. And from that, I started freelancing for ABC Sports when I was 23, and started doing technical directing work, running switcher for college sports, and just progress, and I eventually bought my own TV trucks, big semi trucks, and I have a business called Harvest Media Television, and we have these trucks and we send them around the country, and we do concerts and conferences and sporting events. And then I freelance as a technical producer for CBS Sports and NFL Network. So it's been a great journey.
Who inspires you in this business?
Who inspires me in this business? You know what? several people. Mark Cuban was the first guy that I hired to help me understand the internet. In the early 90s, we wanted to try to do streaming audio on the internet. I was working for a church, and there was a kid in Dallas named Mark Cuban, and we hired him, and we did our first internet streaming. And now we know his story. He sold out to Yahoo for I think it was $3 billion. And he's got a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and I still work for him a lot for HDNet. Now it's called AXS, Television Network. Is that what it's called? Axis. It's on, I don't know, AXS Television Network. They mostly show concerts and some, not Ultimate Fighting, they call it something else. But anyway, so he's a real inspiration to me. I mean, he's a real go-getter. Believe it or not, Ted Turner. Ted was just a good old country boy, and he kept pushing the envelope and doing the impossible. And now, look at, we have Turner Sports, we have CNN. I mean, these are just average people that kind of pushed the envelope and became great things. There's several, I don't think you know their names, that are in the industry that I have a lot of respect for, but like I said, I'm more the behind the scenes kind of guy, and people don't really know those names.
Mm-hmm.
But they do know Mark Cuban, and they do know Ted Turner, and those are two guys I really respect.
What is the most important thing you learned in school related to your career?
Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know that I learned a lot as far as the technical aspect in college, because at the time the University of Alabama had very old equipment. We were shooting film, we were just getting into video, and what I got out of college was the networking. By meeting my classmates, becoming friends with them, working on projects together. Down the road, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, we run into each other again. And we helped each other out. I've been able to give lots of jobs to friends that I had at the University of Alabama, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So the networking aspect and working with people in your classes, sometimes it takes 10, 15 years, but it will come back around. So be nice to your classmates. You never know who might be your next boss.
Do you have any other advice for the people in our class?
I do. I'm surprised how much I rarely needed to know English. I did not like taking English classes. I thought they were stupid and dumb. But you really have to be able to write well and make sure you have complete sentences and no fragments or prepositional phrases or add-on sentences. Those are really important when you start producing television. You've got to know English very, very well as far as the structure and having good grammar. As far as algebra and all that,
Don't need it.
geometry, yes, but the rest of it, nah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I actually just have like 2 quick questions. What was your major at Alabama?
My major at the University of Alabama was communication studies. My minor was Spanish. And I didn't really utilize the Spanish part until years later. I started getting hired by Univision.
Cool.
And because I could communicate with them technically, then that did get me a lot of work.
Wow.
So it's good to have a second language, and especially I would lean towards Spanish because it's becoming such a popular language, especially here in Florida. If you're going to work in Miami, anywhere south of Orlando, knowing Spanish is very helpful, and you can find a job very quick if you're bilingual.
What was it like making the jump from doing all the technical stuff for your various channels and organizations that you work for, then to producing the content for the channels and the organizations you work for?
A producer normally is in charge of content of a broadcast or a production, whereas a director selects all the camera shots. I'm a technical producer, and it's kind of, that doesn't make sense. What I normally do is I coordinate all the equipment, the television trucks, the lines, how we're going to do our transmission, what crews we're going to use. I kind of coordinate all that, and that is one job of a producer, is to coordinate all the various aspects of a production. So when I first started in this business, I was a promotions editor, writer. I did most of the TV commercials, promos, and over the period of time, because I started gaining so much knowledge in the technical end, and there was a void there, I kind of slowly skewed over to the technical side and started learning things. And at my age, I kept reading. Are you still rolling?
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine. I'll edit over it.
Okay. At my age, what was key to me is in my 40s, I tried to reinvent myself because the technology changed. We've gone to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So learning IP protocols, HTML language, learning stuff about computers, I forced myself to learn, and that has really helped me in my career. So you can't get settled once you say, well, I've learned Final Cut Pro. Things are changing so fast, you got to stay up on it. You got to keep pushing yourself and keep learning the latest, greatest technology.
Do you like the shift to internet? Do you think it's necessary?
I didn't at first, but I understand it now. Time has become the biggest commodity for Americans, and people are not wanting to watch television at an appointed time. They want to be able to watch television at their convenience. There's so much pulling at us now. And also the smartphones. Just about everybody in the world now has a smartphone or a tablet, iPad. And so they had to modify the content for those formats. And that's the only thing that can do that right now is the internet. So, yeah. Now, looking back on it, I'm glad this has all happened. And again, it's made an opportunity for anybody to start their own TV network. I mean, you yourself can go on YouTube, start your own channel, go and make some videos and put them on there, and YouTube will start sending you checks. I started my own little YouTube channel, put some music videos on it that I produce, and about every 3 months I get a check from YouTube for people who watch the videos and they have little ads on them.
Mm.
So anybody can do that, and that's just bizarre to me. So yeah, it's great opportunities now. I had a friend that had a viral video that had like 6 million views. He made a lot of money overnight. So that opportunity didn't exist a few years ago. So there's a lots of opportunities with the internet now for college students. I think the picture in the future for right now for college students and technology is better than it ever has been. In my last 30, 40 years I've been in the industry. You can pretty much do your own thing and set your own course.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I'm good.
You have really good answers, by the way.
Well, I've got a super